Hi, Pattie Simone here with the FlipReport, and we're at Realtime, New York. In between sessions, we're very lucky to be talking with Ajit, who is a global influencer in the social media world. So he's going to share with us a little bit that will help in the entrepreneurial space for us to be more strategic in our use of social media. So thank you again for chatting.
Thank you very much, Pattie, for inviting me. I think the common glue which unifies what I do is networks, and social networks are one of them. So really, when I talk at the policy level, when I talk at the telecoms level, it's all about how connections and networks work together. And I think what we see today in the Realtime conference is how these networks amplify connections and messages, and that's the value for the entrepreneur. So that's my first impression, and just sort of initial perspective on how I see the world.
And what should entrepreneurs be doing within the way, obviously, clearly behavioral models are changing, consumer expectations are changing. Internally, businesses are starting to adapt and embrace more entrepreneurial doings in order for them to respond to these changes. What would you say is something that the entrepreneurs should be pursuing in terms of what's happening?
Okay, I'll give you my own example. I started my company, I'm running it now for about 10 years now, yeah. And of course, within that time, we've had 2 recessions and a pandemic. And I think that, bottom line, the way business runs today is very different. I think what is interesting at a small company is you have an advantage over a more traditional company. And I think the thing which made a difference for me was to be myself. This sounds very odd because most people, when you talk about business, you're supposed to say that you're not supposed to talk about your personal stuff. But I do in a dignified kind of way. For example, I like ZZ Top, the music of ZZ Top. I like Tintin, Asterix. I've collected comics all my life. And I also talk about comics. I talk about Tom and Jerry on my blog. Now, I guess I don't talk only of Tom and Jerry. If that were the case, nobody would ever come there. But what people relate to is the individual behind the content. And of course, with some humility, I can say that I do produce some very good work in terms of it's been on the BBC, it's been on CNN. Some of my blogs have been referenced all over the world.
Now, on your blog posts, because I know we had actually connected at TwitterCon in San Francisco, and it was because through your blogging, at that point you were going to interview me. Which I was honored. Which I was.
Happen, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's great. But when you're talking about the things that are bringing you business, what is it that you are opining on? And is it because of forecasting? Is it trend research? What specifically are drawing people to you?
Okay, specifically, and what has been consistently what I talked about is open systems. I know it's a word which today sounds very cliched. It's been people use it in different ways. But when you look at specifically telecom networks, mobile networks, you find that there is a strange movement of tectonic plates, so to speak. You find the web doing different things, and you find the telecom networks kind of trying to play catch up. And what really we are seeing is that networks are opening up, and when networks open up, it's a business model question, it's not a technology question. And I think this really is what I talk about, and is the ability for networks and what it means when networks open up. And this could mean open standards, open source. It could mean a whole bunch of different perspectives on how handsets work, how Android works, how the iPhone works, and so on and so forth. I think prior to the iPhone, it was still very, very controlled, but slowly we are starting to see a very different ecosystem develop, and I think that is going to continue. I mean, this event is an example of that. For this audience, I'm going to speak. I'm going to be on the panel now. What I spoke about in the lunchtime was a new book called Meditation in the Age of Facebook and Twitter, which is a radically different thing from what I traditionally talk about. Meditation is not something you associate with technology, but the way I've approached it does to a certain extent. So for me, it's an evolution of something I've always done in a secular perspective. But then you can look into how you can use brainwaves to further your meditation, and therefore for me it's a kind of a network. It's a neural network or a telecom network and a social network are all the same in conceptually.
Right.
So that's how I see the world. But it was a very interesting session. I think that there is a lot of interest in using these things in a practical way.
Okay, so where can people find out more about you, your blog, and your book?
Well, I think it's one of the advantages of having a unique name. So if you Google my name, you're likely to find me either on Twitter or on Facebook or on my blog, which is called Open Gardens Blog. And you'll find everything there. My Twitter name is at Ajit Jaokar, which is my full name without a space in the middle. And that's the easiest way to find me.
Okay, terrific. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to speak, and good luck with your panel. I understand you're going to London after this, so good luck with your trip.
Thank you.